did you choose this particular film, just out of curiosity?
Well, it was mainly because I'd had my eye on it for a while. I must have found it while I was looking up stuff that Star Trek actors did outside of Star Trek. And I just had it and I knew about it and I just never did anything with it. And then I figured might as well give myself an excuse to watch it.
Okay, it's a Star Trek thing then. I was
Yeah.
like, when I first saw it on IMDb, I'm like, wow, why would anyone pick this film? You know?
Yeah,
That's
morbid curiosity was really all it was.
Okay. Is it Michael? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Michael. Thanks for joining me.
Happy to.
So yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one. So when I saw literally the first frame of the movie, I was like, please God, let this be a comedy. Because you have Spock, first of all, as a race car driver, pretending to drive and getting into this car crash, into styrofoam and hay, and then you have people performing CPR while he's sitting up.
Okay, let me have a look.
Well, this is one cove I couldn't walk away from.
But he will. Okay, let's get him out of here.
And you know, you have that rear projection where it's like clearly he's sitting in the studio and not actually driving the car. So when all these things were coming at me, I was like, please let this be a comedy. It turned out it wasn't, but the movie was actually kind of interesting. I put movie in quotes because this is obviously like a TV pilot.
Yeah, it was clearly supposed to be a TV pilot. It was weird. I didn't like the most I had seen of the movie was that first frame because like I had opened it and downloaded the movie onto my computer at some point like years ago. And so I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's interesting. And I did not expect it to take itself as seriously as it did, given what the concept was.
A psychic race car driver, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of expecting it. Once I found out, it's like, oh, he's in a crash and he sees something. First of all, I thought it was going to be in like the reverse order, and I thought it was going to be like Final Destination, like something like where he has to prevent himself from dying or something. And then it was just like, no, it's just some random family in some castle somewhere.
Yeah, conceptually it was so odd. Like, you're right. Like, the people have nothing to do with him at all. And him being a race car driver has nothing to do with the plot at all. The only thing him being a race car driver affects is that that's the way, like, his, the hot blonde, his sidekick, that's the way she sees him is because he's on TV. But that's the only way it plays into it.
Yeah, he drives that car in the castle, like, once, twice if you count getting to where they were going and then leaving. Like he drives the car once and like nothing happens in terms of him being a driver, except for the fact that it's like that's his excuse of why it's not suspicious that he's at this random place. It's like, oh, you heard about my husband's car. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a race car driver. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Not because I'm psychic.
Yeah, and his sidekick, Michelle, is basically this attractive blonde. It sees him on TV after his car crash, and he's talking about seeing these visions. And it's funny, they actually do car subplots, but it's about her being a bad driver. But you figure him being a professional driver, he wouldn't let anybody else behind the wheel of a car.
Look out!
Yeah, you like. I think I would have bought it a little more if like he was like race car driving through the street, and she's like, "Hey, slow down." He's like, "Oh, sorry, muscle memory or something."
Look out!
Yeah, you figure that would be in the reverse. It's just kind of odd. What did you think about the chemistry between Nimoy and Susan Hampshire?
I thought they had decent chemistry. Like, I definitely believed them, not necessarily romantic, but as, like, friends. It kind of had a sort of, like buddy cop feel. Like, obviously, neither of them are cops, but it kind of felt like that was the angle they were going with.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel, like, romantic. It felt like you said, buddies or, like, brother and sister. I don't know if that's what they were aiming for, but that was the result.
Yeah, I mean, there was I mean, I will admit it is weird because usually movies like that, they always go the romantic like direction, and maybe if like it had been picked up for whatever the hell they were trying to seed at the end of the movie, like maybe something would have happened and we would have figured out what they were going for. But
Yeah. Definitely early on, it seemed like they had a game plan as far as like the way they were going to play out against each other. It was like she was all business and he was all pleasure. Like he's asking her out on a date while she's like, hey, like we need to like use your powers and stuff like that.
You know, I know this great Armenian restaurant on East 54th Street.
Concentrate, please.
And it's like, all right, will they or won't they romance? You know, she's going to be all like, let's do this. He's going to be like, let's have fun.
Look, however you tracked me down, whatever it is you're here for, are you sure you wouldn't rather explain it over a martini?
Sorry, I only have 14 minutes to talk to you before a dinner appointment.
But then it seemed like after that first scene where they were established together, all that was kind of abandoned for like the plot. So
yeah, definitely seemed like they dropped a lot of stuff.
Yeah. To me, another funny part was when she was like, hey, like write down what you saw in your visions. The drawing that he wrote was just so terrible that like after I saw this scene, I just paused the movie and I did my own rendition of what he drew. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, it's a pitch perfect replica.
But how does she see? And for people who haven't seen the movie, that's essentially what he drew in like 5 seconds. And she sees this and she is so like astonished. Like she's like, let me grab my book and show you exactly what, like, how does she draw all these connections from like a scribbling like that?
Yeah, no, like she was like, oh my God, that's perfect. It looks just like it. And it's like, that does it really? Like, I mean, like you can tell it's clearly like, maybe it's a castle, like could be a fortress, could be anything.
A 4-year-old could do something better than that. It's just like ridiculous. And like, that was the catalyst for her to like say like, let's go save this family. So what did you think of the whole family subplot? So they basically who he's trying to save is his mother and daughter, and they're going to see the father, I guess, I don't know if they explained it and I missed it, like why the father isn't part of the relationship with them. I don't think they got into it.
I think the most we got was that the father was like into the he left and he was writing letters, and then the letters after he was out of the picture, like the letters changed and that's why they were meeting. It's like it seemed like he was ready to sort of come back, but I don't think they didn't explain it very well.
No, at best it was kind of implied that he just didn't want to be there, and then he suddenly did want to be a part of their relationship. But then him being part of the relationship was the ruse to get the mother and the daughter. And it wasn't completely clear as to why he wanted the mother and the daughter, the guy who was pretending to be the father, because the mother, who is the sister in Psycho, she plays actually an actress in the movie. So it kind of implies that maybe she has a lot of money, but Vera Miles. So is it that like they're trying to get to the money, and then they also implied that the daughter is gifted, but I don't really know if we saw her use any powers, but they kept saying she's gifted and he wants to gain control of her. Like, how did you like read that?
Yeah, I felt it was interesting, like the way that like there was clearly something going on, but I don't understand how it all tied. I didn't understand how it tied together. Like clearly the wolf cult or whatever, they're doing something like magical because like the woman had like something with her face later on, like at the end when they stopped everything. The woman who owned the mansion, the castle, she had something going on with that, and I don't know what the connection was. Like, were they using magic or? And it clearly, like they were, I guess, expecting to have like a sequel or a TV show where they would be able to explain it, because they did not explain anything.
No, it didn't. And what was odd is that, like, you're right, they probably would have gotten into the cult more, because when the movie ends, well, during the movie, we see that the once the daughter starts to go a little bit evil, she has this necklace that her fake father gives her, and it has like a wolf symbol on it, and it's implied that's part of a cult. And then at the very end, when they tease that this is going to be a series, like come back for more. Which, spoiler, there's nothing more to come back for. It was not picked up. But we see like there's someone else who has that wolf symbol. But that kind of felt tacked on because we never even saw like the cult. We never saw any rituals. We just saw the necklace and that was it. And I didn't even know like when she got the necklace that it was implied that the necklace had any like powers or anything like that. It just seemed like he was just trying to win her over by giving her a gift.
Yeah, it definitely like I don't even know how to explain it. How it's like it was supposed to be.
You can say that about this entire movie.
Like it feels like some. It's like we also have the issue of like, why is Leonard Nimoy only seeing psychic visions of this cult? Like, did he get his powers from them? Was like an ancestor part of it? Like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know why it's supposed to fit together.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, why specifically this? We ask like, why specifically them? But we don't even know like how he got his powers because it wasn't from the crash. He saw the visions and then he crashed. So it's just like.
Yeah, exactly. And everything I've seen that puts down the plot of the movie, they say like after a crash he has visions. And so I was expecting like, oh, he gets it from the crash. That's stupid, but it makes like I get it. And then it's like, oh no, he had it. He crashed because of the vision that we don't know how he got. Like,
which is so stupid. Like he's seeing visions to save people, but while he's seeing the vision, he's in the middle of a race, speeding, and he could himself die seeing visions of trying to save people. It seems like odd powers,
Yeah, whatever, like, God gave him that power was like, okay, that guy seems like a good choice. Let me give it to him now. Oh, wait, oh, no, maybe it's a bad time.
I know. What if he saw that vision of, like, oh, yeah, I could save those people, but he died in the crash, Like,
yeah,
that would have been, like, pointless.
What if the sitting up CPR didn't work?
I know, right? Oh, that was the lamest CPR. He wasn't even, like, selling it. Like, he was just, like, ignoring the guy. And the extra was like, what do I do, So, yeah. But, so what did you think of, like, the villain in the movie? And that was the fake father, Parrish. I think that, like, he was so underdeveloped, maybe because they were trying to add more mystery to the film. But, like, there wasn't really any main, like, antagonist in the movie, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I didn't get the fact that he was supposed to be the friend that they kept referencing. Like they kept saying like, oh yeah, your father had a friend, he was this weird guy, nobody likes him. I didn't get that he was that guy. I was trying to look up on Wikipedia like, who is this actor, like who is this character, because I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't find. I kept typing in the dad's name and nothing was coming up, and then finally got to the end and I was like, oh, because it's not, but that wasn't like clear.
Nothing was clear in this movie. There was so much research needed to be done to figure out this movie. It's just insane. Do you think this was like a 2-episode plot? Because I was like, the minute I saw like the beginning credits in the movie, which it felt like it lasted for 20 minutes. Yes. The beginning credits, it was just so long, and it gave away so much of the movie in it. But once that was done, like I was like, all right, this is definitely a TV pilot. Let me look for the breaking point where it's like episode 1 ends and then episode 2 starts. It just felt like it was just maybe just like one long episode. Did you notice like a breaking point maybe?
I didn't notice a breaking point. I do think it's one long episode. What I did notice was that, like, unlike any other TV movie I've ever seen, there's no scene transitions when it's a commercial break, because it's just random cut and it's just a completely different scene. Like there's no lead in for it, and that was when they put the commercial in.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like normally it's like, okay, we fade. It's like, oh, suspense, fade out. It's like something happens, immediate, just cut to the next scene. Like not even a fade, which I felt was weird.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these 70s based on true stories, like made for TV movies, ripped from the headline stuff. And you're right, there are more. I did notice one. And that was when the fake death of Leonard Nimoy, when he fell off the cliff. There was one point where it did fade to black and then it faded back in, but that was the only one. And I thought maybe that could have been like the break for between episode and 1, episode 2, but the fade happened after you knew he survived. So that would be kind of a weird point to break if like, we knew he survived, wait for episode 2. It's like, no, like, we know he made it, you know, so.
Yeah, no, that was a weird choice there.
Yeah. So what did you think of the ending? I thought the fight scene at the end was just like, it made up for like the entire movie. So basically, it comes down to the end and people are trying to kill them, and Nimoy and his sidekick, Michelle, and we're not quite sure who it is. They don't make it clear if it's like cult members. And also they have like a few red herrings in there. So as the viewer, like before you know what happens at the end, you're thinking it may be some other guests at the hotel they're staying at. So you're not quite sure who's trying to kill them. But once you do know how it plays out in the end, then it's even more of a mystery who's trying to kill them. But like a few people try and kill them, they escape. And then suddenly the sidekick, Michelle, plot device wise, knows that the necklace is the key to stopping the girl. But I'm like, why do they need to stop her? And because there's nothing that establishes that she has powers. It just seems like it's just a little girl. And she's like, the only way to stop her is to cross your arms. It's like, how do you know that? And like, what is she gonna do if I don't cross my arms? So he crosses his arms, and that's one of the poster shots for the movie. And then he breaks the necklace, and then he runs upstairs to save the mother. And that's when this epic Scooby-Doo type fight happens between an old lady and Spock going at it. And what's hilarious about the fight is so many things. One, it's the vision of Spock fighting an old lady, which we see in the close-ups. And it's the hilarity of the wide shots where it's clearly like a male stunt double in a wig pretending to be an old lady. And then it's the hilarity of, wait a minute, pull off the mask. It's not an old lady. It's Parrish, our main bad guy. It's like, okay, like why is he in this disguise? And then, throw him off a cliff, like what did you think of that whole fight sequence?
I mean, I know it's not a comedy, but it was kind of hilarious. Just the whole idea that it was the same sort of stuff that you would get in like the original Star Trek, where it's just like clearly it's like they're kind of doing like, I mean, he didn't do like the really choreographed, like that's what I love about the original Star Trek is when they're doing like like to hit them, which I wish there was more of that in this, just because it probably would have made up for the entire movie.
Yeah.
But it was weird, and like the whole thing with like the little girl, it's like her only power is that she tried to poison her mom at one point.
How is that a power?
Yeah. And I like that. And I did find it weird that like there wasn't any suspicion thrown onto them when he was like, there might be poison in there from a specific plant that I'm telling you about. And like the doctor's not even like, I think he murdered. I think he did. Clearly he did it. He knows what it was in it. But yeah, no, the fight scene at the end was, I mean, I don't want to say it was good for what it was. It was good, I guess. I mean, it is kind of funny that you have someone fighting a guy dressed as an old lady, and one of the actors was actually in Psycho.
Exactly. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point. But she was like standing there, not even trying to help, like just being a bystander, watching it all go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was hilarious that it was like, it's an old lady, but no, it's a stunt double man. No, pull off the mask. It's actually a man. I just found it. I didn't find it good. I found it like bad good.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was just hilarious. It was just like the perfect way to end it. And I love in these movies like how like bricks and stone are just so easy to break. Like he just shoves him off, and like the entire like
Oh.
everything
Yeah.
just like breaks down. It's like, come on, like
Yeah, it's like how hard did he push him? Like that seems like like you trip over the balcony.
yeah,
Like,
you
that's
don't
not-
take the balcony with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just found that hilarious. So what do you think? Like, oh, do you think like this was a missed opportunity for a TV series, or do you think it's a good thing it only ended with the pilot?
I don't think that I don't know if Leonard Nimoy did this for either a paycheck because they got screwed out of the royalties from Star Trek, or if he just didn't have anything to do, or if he did it as a favor. But I hope he did not think that this was going to be his TJ Hooker, because this is no way this is his TJ Hooker.
So I'm not familiar with Star Wars. Is that what happened to them? They got screwed out of royalties?
A little bit. There's the creator of Star Trek. He had a very tight grip on like all the royalties. He actually screwed out the composer of the theme song by writing lyrics for it. And he wrote the lyrics and said, "We're not going to use the lyrics because they suck, but the lyrics exist, and therefore I get a cut of the money."
Oh.
And so I know a lot of like what they made their money was like, you got like the Kingdom of the Spiders that Shatner did, Night of the Lepus, like they did those low budget movies, and then they did conventions, and that was really how they made their paychecks until the first Star Trek movie came out, and then they were back and they were making like real money.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense because I don't know how much you listen to hip hop, but when I was younger, like Puffy was kind of like big with Bad Boy, and what he would do is he would sing like a couple of verses on a song, but then he would get points towards like the royalties just for coming on saying like, oh yeah, oh go yeah baby, just say stuff like that, just to get like credit. So that makes sense. But yeah, that's interesting because I looked at his IMDb and I guess he did after Star Trek, he did Mission Impossible, but I'm not too familiar with that series, so I don't know if he played a big role on that, but it looked like he was on there for a while, then he did this.
Yeah, I'm also not big with Mission Impossible. I think he ended up replacing Martin Landau's character, who was one of like the main guys. And so he left the show, and then Leonard Nimoy came in right after Star Trek, and I don't think it was on for that much longer, just in general. But yeah, that was pretty much like the big thing he did, and I think maybe he hosted like TV shows or something. But other than that, I don't think he did much.
Okay, but yeah, if anyone's interested in like prime Leonard Nimoy as far as age-wise, right after his Star Trek and just some like 70s schlock. It's good at the beginning. The first few scenes are hilarious up until the wonderful drawing here. It seems like a comedy. And then it gets kind of a little bit boring. The mystery kind of picks up in the last third, which keeps you a little bit intrigued. The fact that a lot of stuff doesn't pay off at the end is kind of frustrating. But that last fight scene, I think, is like really cool. So I recommend it with a lot of like asterisks, like, you know, don't expect a great movie, but I wasn't disappointed I saw it. And it's not that long that it's like, oh my God, like when is this gonna end? So I'd give it like a tentative like thumbs up recommendation. What'd you say?
I would say I like for me, and I'm like a bad movie like aficionado. I love watching crappy bad movies. I went on a search a few weeks ago for like really bad 70s sci-fi movies. Like I very much got close to watching the movie Space Mutiny that they did on Mystery Science Theater without the Mystery Science Theater just because I wanted to watch a bad movie.
That's deep, man.
So I
help.
I know. So I think I recommend it if you are as masochistic as I am and really like bad movies, because it's something that I'm surprised was never like on like MST3K or any of like the post MST3K stuff, because there's a lot of material for them to work with.
Yeah, I guess maybe the only reason is like maybe the middle chunk, there's not a lot to riff on. But you're right, there's a lot of stuff at the beginning and the end that's just like, it's gold. It's a gold mine of like riffing. So
Absolutely.
cool. All right. Thanks, man.